back to another edition of Neon Trash. I'm your host, Tommy the Hammer, hanging out with Johnny Rocket, Bee Cee, Olivia, Etoile. Tonight, we are kicking things off for Black History Month, and it is going to be Bee Cee's pick tonight. Bee Cee, what are we watching tonight?
So last year for Black History Month, I brought a film called Black Is, Black Ain't by Marlon Riggs. He's a documentary filmmaker, and it is a movie that touched us all very deeply. We were all like broken, and it hit us hard. It hit us hard.
Not gonna lie.
And since then, I've seen everything that he's done, and he's phenomenal. And I felt like once again I should bring him to the table. Marlon Riggs is not just an important voice in cinema, but I would argue American culture at large. He's sadly since passed away, but his words still ring very true today. So for today, we will be watching his film Tongues Untied. That is one of his most acclaimed films. And to give you the quick little description from Criterion, made in director Marlon Riggs' own words to shatter the nation's brutalizing silence on matters of sexual and racial difference, this radical blend of documentary and performance defies the stigmas around black gay sexuality in the belief that as long as shame prevails, liberation cannot be possible. So this is all about the intersection of black culture, LGBTQ culture, and what it means to be a black man in America. It's deeply touching, deeply moving, and I'm excited to show it to everyone.
Brother to brother, 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 brother to brother.
Silence is my shield.
It crushes.
Silence is my cloak.
It smothers.
Silence is my sword.
It cuts both ways.
Alright folks, we just got done watching Tongues Untied, a documentary by Marlon Riggs. And I mean, what can I say? Just like Black Is, Black Ain't, this was an incredibly powerful piece of film. The way he can combine spoken words and cinematography together, like, is just incredible. The way he picks his scenes, the music and the poetry that he employs is just, I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It really is. It's incredibly powerful. And I mean, I guess I was fortunate enough to grow up not only with black friends, but with gay friends as well. So to see the two of those colors combine, if you will, it's just like, I mean, that third color is just absolutely incredible. Like it hits like super hard, like in two different ways. Like see those cultures combined, to see the bind that gay black men found themselves in is just absolutely, I mean, it's incredible. Powerful doesn't even do this film justice, you know, as a superlative. Like, it's just, I mean, yeah, I'm truly left speechless. Like, this is like, I mean, it was really mind blowing. It was like short and sweet and just like, I mean, it hits you with a 1, 2, 3 and you're on the canvas.
This is an interesting movie. I think what shocked me the most is how somebody could say so much in just an hour. In terms of all the aspects you could think of somebody part of a disenfranchised group that is judged and mistreated, I feel like he was able to encapsulate all of those experiences that have been told in so many different stories in one clean hour in the most poetic and powerful way. And that's just really crazy to me.
Right.
It was really easy for me to kind of like sympathize with this because I like, obviously, yeah, being like black, I obviously immediately made, right, yeah, who would have known? I immediately made that connection. But the kind of part of being a part of like the black community, but also feeling like you're part of a microcosm of that community, and then feeling rejected by other people of your community, and then having to deal with that frustration, because I feel like I was always put in that camp of the whitewashed black person, which they kind of also mentioned in the beginning of the movie, where it's like black people might see you as like uppity because like, oh, maybe your parents were more middle class or you were raised around white people, so they just expect you to have that ego or whatever. But I always had that divide with so many of the other black kids at my school, because it was like, I've been told so many times, why do you talk white or this or that, you know? It's like really easy for me to connect the message being presented by the movie. And I loved how they kind of had this motif of silence, in the sense that silence does a lot for us. It hurts us, it protects us, it does all these things, but at the end of the day it only provides stagnance. So you think about how lacking context is just the saddest thing we can have as humanity, and not wanting to communicate with each other. Because when conservatives or whatever look at those parades and like, why are they doing this, or why are they being loud, or this, it's like, wow, really nice. You've never had to be silent. You've never had to hide. You've never had, you could never understand the context of the need for that, or what can be gained when you've just never had to deal with this problem. And it's sad, because if you're not really an empathetic person, or you go out of your way to try and understand others, it can be really easy to just look at a movie like this and be like, I don't get it. But it's like, that's like sad, because how much of the world are you just cutting yourself off from by not being able to make these connections? And it's no different than you could connect it to like the Rodney King riots, where it's like, again, white conservatives look on in judgment. Why are they destroying their communities? Again, it's like, wow, life is really nice for you. Just no cathartic release has ever been necessary for you. You've never just needed to smash something. It's like, those are the tipping points for these communities that live in fear and in disgust and hurt and are just naturally in pain. And it's sad, but it's and I'm saying so much, but that's all in this. That's jam-packed. We got all that for you in 60 minutes. Yes. This movie is amazing.
No, speak it all. You say nothing but truth right now.
so it's awesome. I'm very, very amazed with this, and yeah, I would agree to your sentiment, Ben, that this person is very much a genius.
So somebody online said that one of their critiques of this specific one by Marlon Riggs, was that every movie regarding being gay always talks about HIV and AIDS, which I think is a pretty uneducated thing to say, because it's very real for that community. It's not just like, oh, let's talk about that because everybody talks about it and whatever. Like, it's talked about because it's so relevant. And then on top of that, clearly they didn't know anything about the director himself. Right. Because why would he not talk about the aspect of his life in a documentary about his identities? So I don't know. I thought this one, I think this is the second time I've seen this, and I think I've seen 2 other ones by him, but I really enjoy his work, and I've seen 3 by him, but I've enjoyed all of them, and I'm interested to see the rest of them, because, and I think the same as everyone else, except, John, we have some differences, because what he said he grew up with is the opposite of what I said. So, but in a way, I still have the same response, how he's like, I grew up with so much diversity, I'm used to this, and so seeing it kind of made you emotional. But for me, I grew up with no diversity, and now that I've experienced more, it still makes me emotional, because I never experienced that, firsthand, seeing
I can see how that would hit you even harder, honestly.
But
you were
now,
almost blindsided by this.
To see the impact of it from that person in a way that most people don't express those emotions, I don't know.
Once again.
Yeah, last time I brought Marlon Riggs, I was crying during this review. So it's hard to not do that now still. I think that this is as important as film gets, right? If someone watched this and didn't have some type of emotional response or strong feeling, I would almost see them as how are you even a person? How can you not care? This is humanity laid bare for everyone to see.
The first movie that you showed us, Black is Black Ain't, amazing film. I was captivated by it, drawn in by it, and enlightened on a number of topics and issues that maybe I didn't really know too much about. But watching this movie tonight, strangely enough, I kind of wish I would have seen his film before that final film, in a strange way, because Black is Black Ain't was obviously his final movie, and it really encapsulated the man. I felt like it was about himself, and then also the black community. His final film, Black is Black Ain't, might be his magnum opus, but I would recommend starting here. I really do. Start here, and then just go through all this man's work.
Ethnic Notions was before this one, and that one is really good too.
Yeah, and we were talking during the movie that I would love to see more of this man's work.
Yes.
Last time we were talking about star counts with this man's work, it was hard to do because it was a documentary, and you can't really give a star count on, as Bee Cee once said, the human experience. So let's just go with it, 10 out of 10. Vital viewing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if
As
you
a
want,
human being
Yes.
on planet Earth, you must watch this.
Yeah,
Like,
if you want a broader perspective of a different community, of the trials and tribulations that an individual goes through in their daily life, especially during a specific era, in this case the late 1980s, excellent film, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think last time I said the word essential. Like, I feel like this is something everyone should have to see. I think it's perfect. In terms of him as a filmmaker, I think he edits his footage in like the best way possible. Every time you're like, oh, this was such an amazing scene. Like, I don't even know how this could get any more powerful. And then you get the next scene, and then just, it's always building. And I don't know, it's, as Tom said, it's 10 out of 10. It's perfect. It's essential. Everyone should have to see this movie.
I'm not gonna say anything you haven't already heard, so I'm just gonna say I'm giving it a 10.
I agree. I can only second that. It deserves a 10. There's nothing more, nothing less.
Wow.
I mean, everyone's right. Like I mean, I almost feel like I'm doing it a disservice to try to give it a star count. Like this is like that, like, you know, collegiate level pass-fail class. Either you watch this or you don't. Like, no, you should watch this. You should have to watch this. Like this, if I was to like make like a school curriculum, this would be like in my high school curriculum. Like, you have to watch this, like, to get that perspective. Because, I mean, if you can identify with this, you should watch this. If you can't identify with this at all, you should still watch this. Like, it has to be watched. Like, these voices need to be heard time and time again. You know, they're so human. Like, if you consider yourself a human being, you know, as a carbon-based life form living on this planet Earth, like, you should watch this to hear this voice. Because this is one of many voices that everyone should hear. I don't know. I can't wait to show it to my high schooler. Like, Adeline, you have no idea what's coming, but you're watching this.
I have a comment to add, but I don't know if it would be a deep dive.
You do it. We're doing deep dive now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deep diving
I have
right
another
now.
comment to make.
Yeah, do
Into
it.
it.
So, something that John said made me think of this, and while, like, I am able to identify with the queer identity, obviously I'm not able to identify with the black identity, so it's interesting to see, like, I have that similarity with him, but I'm able to see a different perspective on that similarity because of the differences. But even, like, somebody who doesn't have those outstanding similarities in that way, like, if you're not black or you're not gay, like, those are the ones that stick out, I mean, right off the bat. But deep down, once you watch it, like, you realize, even if you think you don't have something in common with somebody, we all have similarities. We're all human, we all have emotions, we all have feelings, and we're all impacted by our experience in day-to-day life. So, like I said, even though I, you know, was able to relate on some things, it allowed me to see it from a different perspective.
How I'm like, why am I'm resonating with this because yes, I know, you know, I'm friends with no like black people, I'm friends with no gay people, but like I'm actually kind of like how do I want to put this? I mean, I'm identifying with this a little bit because I'm a male, like, and I don't know, I can see where they're coming from. I don't know.
No,
even though like I'm not attracted to men, I'm not gay. Like I can see where they're coming from. Like as a guy, like that's just what you like. You know, that's just like who you
like
are
your
and
feelings
like, that's just
and what you're taught as
that's
a
what
kid.
you feel. Like that's just the way you're leading. Like why is that such a big deal? Like it's I don't know.
That's
like,
a good door to open up because, like, culturally speaking, you know, here in the States, like, any man that admits that there is any form of attraction to maybe another man or like the same sex, they're like viewed as a problem. You know what I mean?
Right. Like,
But like, I mean, like, what's the issue with like finding attraction in like anything in those regards? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be just like, oh, I just like girls. You know what I'm saying? It's like a guy can be attuned to his more, you know, feminine nature.
See, the reason it sucks is because the way we are with, I think it's just as human beings, the way we deal with the unknown, that initial kind of point where we make contact with the unknown is kind of weird, because since nobody really operates with the kind of dignity you would expect of a human being, rumors breed and everything, and negative kind of connotations become attached to this one thing. So it's like we might be able to look at being gay and lesbianism as just one aspect of the human experience. That's not what it was for them. And at that time, it's like being gay was, like you said, it was almost predatory. It was like you were seen as problematic, or you just all these negative things just bundled up with it. It wasn't just gay. You were gay. You were also a predator. You were this. You were that. You were this. So it wasn't. You couldn't just be a human being because nobody could see you as that. Because the totality around the narrative was that nobody was just gay.
Right.
That you were just a gay human being.
Right.
You were a scourge of society, unfortunately.
Yes.
And because nobody was taking the time to go out of the way to try and meet these people, like you say, as human beings, we need films like this to help bridge the gap.
This movie was released in 1989, and homosexuality was taken out of the psychological DSM-5 in 1973. So only 16 years prior was, like, it's still considered a mental illness to be gay. So, and having a mental illness at that point, you were seen as weak. You know, people would prey on you. So if I'm assuming, obviously I don't know, but somebody who's black and who, you know, has that vulnerability, if that was exposed, then people were going to use that to their advantage. So it was kind of, I feel like, that time period where things were kind of starting to get better, just in society in general, but those things were still there, leaving an impact on everyone.
Yeah,
So,
good point. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that during the movie. In the 80s and the 90s, things were still horrible for like a lot of people, despite a lot of progression.
there were laws in place, and things were, like I said, it was taken out of the DSM in 73, but it was as if it, you know, none of those changes had been made as far as, you know.
And then here we have it with
like,
this man making this movie in '89. Like, what a ballsy move. You know, like he didn't care, like, about what someone was gonna think about his work. He's trying to make a point. And
he was like, I'm just gonna show how I feel and put it all out there. I don't care if people, you know, think
bearing his soul to the world on cellular.
You know, I may be looked down on, or people may have comments, but I'm gonna take the chance and be vulnerable and share how I feel in this way.
And it was amazing.
And I don't think, I don't know, you have to give like a lot of praise to the courage behind that, because I kind of think about that too, like when you see people who are like protesting, like, oh, like, you know, like legalize weed or whatever, you know, it's like, that's not an anonymous thing you can support. Those people out there are kind of outing themselves that they do this thing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's like, to make a film like this, that's like your point of no return, you know? In that time period, you are laying this bare that this is, you know, living your truth, you know? Just like a kind of a cliche phrase or whatever. But in that sense, you are doing that. And it's powerful because I feel like all of those people are forced to come to a crossroads, which is, do I accept myself for who I am? Or do I become whatever society like needs me to be?
Well, guys, I hope we have been informative. Until the next time, tune in to Neon Trash. Good night, folks.